Alright guys, it's time. It's time for the review that everybody was asking for. It's time to talk about the new film, the instant classic Life of the Party, and why it's a strong contender for the worst film of the year for me. Life of the Party has a lot of problems. It's full of odd decisions, awkward acting, and flat comedy, all of which just don't work, and it led me to sheer boredom as I sat there waiting for the scene to be over. And this sucks because I know Melissa McCarthy can be funny, but I've also seen a few times that she can be I think a major issue here is the director, Ben Falcone. He can't direct his wife for shit. He was the man behind her very worst films. I think that as a husband and wife duo, they may be limiting themselves. Like, they might not be able to say no to each other's shitty ideas. Just generally, I also don't think that he exactly has the greatest eye for visuals. Comedies don't require the most beauty in terms of its camera work. They don't typically have to work super hard when it comes to interesting its audiences with like fancy angles and shit, but goddamn, if Life of the Party didn't feel lazy on all fronts here. Life of the Party is critically weak in a lot of technical aspects here, such as with its extremely clunky and unnatural dialogue. This kind of felt like 1517 to Paris. It just feels like actors in a room saying lines of dialogue to one another rather than just like people naturally talking. Everything just feels kind of fake. And even when things nearly work and they almost get like emotional and stuff like that, and they really feel like they're actually trying to do something, it's always way too brisk. Attempts at any emotion are super rushed, and there's just really no time to stop and feel for the characters. There's really just no time for really anything because some sort of stupid, unfunny joke happens and interrupts any sort of development that's about to take place. Also, I didn't believe in Life of the Party's world. Everyone falls in love with the main character in a heartbeat for no real reason. You know, this movie is about this older woman going back to college and, you know, she's meant to be the kind of embarrassing woman, ha ha ha, she's so lame and whatever. But like, everyone loves her. Even the daughter who's going to the same college as her, she just loves her instantly, and everyone's her best friend, and it's just this fake as shit world. Everyone just loves each other, and everyone is positive all the time. The only conflict is with these two cartoonish bullies, and really only one of them even speaks, and it just did not feel like a realistic or lived-in world, which isn't much of a requirement for a simple comedy like this, but even still, it was so off that it was just distracting. But worst of all, Life of the Party is just generally and painfully unfunny. Falling over is funny, according to this movie. Dressing up in 80s style is funny, according to this movie. Cutting to dog reactions to a conversation is funny. Getting the point of like internet things like hashtags and whatever wrong because you're old and don't get it is funny. That part at the end of movies where the teacher or mentor figure woos a little too loud while everybody's clapping because, look, spoiler alert, she graduates and then the teacher woos a bit loud and then he looks around and is all embarrassed. Wow, so funny. Weird little specific scenes where they're doing things like playing racquetball and then there's just two guys waiting, being mean to them or whatever. It's really funny. Oh man, this movie's really funny. All of these things are just really, really funny. All according to this terrible, terrible movie. Anyway, yeah, I really hated it. Also, I just have to say that the audience drove me insane. Like, it was like they'd never seen a movie before. This is so specific, it has nothing to do with the movie, but it might have made me hate the movie a little bit more because, Jesus Christ, like every time a physical comedy type thing happened, they'd like wince and go, ugh, like it was torturous stuff being shown on screen. Every time the movie made some sort of joke about, I don't know, like her best friend having sex with her husband or some stupid shit, they'd laugh so hysterically, like sex didn't mean what sex means to everybody else. Like, it's some sort of really high up there thing in terms of comedy. It was just the most hysterical things that they've ever heard in their lives. I seriously think that this was the first movie that they've seen in their lives because I don't see how you could get those kinds of reactions if that wasn't the case. It was just bad, alright? I really hated Life.